Good evening. Welcome to HBC Delaware Talks. On our last show of the year. Thank you for allowing me, us, we to be in your living room this evening to talk about some good old things that happen here in the city of Wilmington. But before I even go there, let me tell you what the acronym HBCU stands for. It stands for Historical Black Colleges and University. One in which I have attended is the Norfolk State University. And because of Norfolk State University, look where I'm at, on television. You know, one thing about historical black colleges and universities, if anything that you're going to get or receive is a leadership quality. So all of you HBCU graduates, understand that your purpose of graduating is not about all that big money you make, but it's about impacting our community with your skills, your leadership, and your kind heart. So when I say these things, I think that it is about time for us all to work together in unity instead of in these different silos as we always do. We have far too many historical black colleges, university graduates here in Wilmington, Delaware, and we still are spread out and divided. What are we going to do, Wilmington? It's time for us to impact this state, this city, and the country. Because if you have if you're a college graduate or alumni, you have something special about you. Now, I'm not saying college is for everyone, but you know what? Everyone can go to college. It's a matter of having confidence. It's a matter of building your self-esteem, and it's a matter of persevering. But before I get to our main guests, hosts, producers, because we have a different show tonight. You know, I usually have a lot of students on, but these are students, if you think about it, in our community. But these are really, on this show this evening, it's a lot of community leaders. And with this leader, I feel that leadership quality going on already. So we're doing something a little different. Tonight was really producer night out to bring all the producers from LAPA on the show, but unfortunately, a lot of them had other engagements. A lot of them did not show. Sometimes we just don't show them. We just don't call. We have to get better. But at any rate, tonight is producer night out, and we're going to call it What You Like Show. So one of the things that we can discuss is anything possible, how your show impacts the community, what it is you do, why you do what you do, and how it affects our community. And be mindful, HBCU Delaware Talks talk show is an educational channel, and all the guest hosts, producers that's on this channel are about education, because education does impact everything. Without it, it's going to be tough for you to be successful. It's going to be tough for you to survive. If you look at our community right now, those guys out there that's killing and murdering each other, I'm guaranteeing that they're not reading on grade level. See, because if you read, you can infer. If you can infer, you can see the big picture. And sometimes we walk around with our eyes open, living in the dark. So what I'm trying to say is sometimes we can say lights are on, but nobody's home. Let's bring everybody home. Let's impact our community with knowledge so they can attend a college. So with that all being said, I'll ask that our producers introduce yourselves in your own way. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. So where
So-
do we start?
I don't know. We have Miss Josie Roy, Mr. Handy, Miss Bell, and I'm Miss Marjorie on the show. And they all are leaders, so understand the leadership quality that's happening in here. And we all have some good things to say. And watch how it all connects to education. I guarantee you, it's all going to connect.
Sure is. I want to say one thing quickly,
Yes.
since you know we're talking about the HBC schools. You said the word perseverance.
Yes, ma'am.
And I love that. You know why? Because I want to just say to the young people, you have to persevere. And this is just a little wisdom, a word to the wise, to the youth. When my granddaughter first went to college, and you know they don't have the money, they don't know how they're going to make it or get there. But she did just that, persevered. And you know what she said to me? She said, Mama, if you just get me there.
See?
There you go.
And to this day, I did just what she said. She said, when you get me there, don't worry, I'll come out. You don't even have to go in with me. When she came out, she had everything she needed. She had a job, she had money, but the words, just get me there. And today, she's in law school.
Awesome.
Then completed her first semester, doing well, excellent. And so I'm just proud of her. But I just
Wow.
wanted to say that.
Yes.
But I'm Josie Roy, and I host the LAPA Hour. And I also host a show Conversation with Josie Roy and Tom Gordon. And the reason I do what I do is because I love people.
Hey,
And I've been doing it for a long time, been out in the community for a long time, and I just love it. People make the world go around,
that's right.
and we help them make the world go around. So I, work with out here in the community with a lot of leaders, as you say, and leader myself, and in my own right. But I'm just glad to be here. First of all, thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming.
Guess it's my turn, huh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, your turn.
Ron Handy, I host what we call it this week, Talk to the People.
Talk to
Yeah.
the people.
Yes, it was a show started by Mouse, and I got started as I brought somebody here, and he asked me to come on, and I've been on ever since. And then I moved over being the host. I do a lot of work in the community, especially with kids. But one thing that you said about HBCUs, people have to understand there were a time where we couldn't go to school, so we did it for ourselves. And I think that's lost right now. We don't understand. We don't have to ask people. We could do it for ourselves. And I'm really big on letting people understand is stop asking. If you want something, create it or demand it. But don't ask, and be passive with it because those are our rights.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, to God be the glory. Edwina Bell, hi family. I never know what God has in store for me or anybody else. And you never know every morning when the deck of cards are dealt throughout the day, what hand you're being dealt. And so I'm honored to be here tonight, unexpectedly, but again, it's God's will. And one of the things that I treasure most is yielding to the Spirit. And because I have learned to yield to the Spirit, I'm sitting here amongst the leaders in the community. Because I was a baby amongst you all, even though I just turned 62 on Saturday,
Well, happy birthday.
But-
birthday.
Yes.
But choosing a new way of life has been around for the last 18 years. And it basically was started by the one who helped found Comcast, community channel, Twin Brown. And he has given many of us our skills and talents that are being utilized today. And the reason why we are even sitting in this forum today is because of his efforts and his work. So I do want to acknowledge what he has done in paving the way for us to be here. And so choosing a new way of life, many of you know, it deals with alcoholism, drug addiction. And I just recently, we'll be celebrating 28 years sober from drugs and alcohol, prostitution. I even committed murder, and God saw fit to deliver me from that world. And it was Twin's vision that when he heard me on the WLIM forum, AA forum, he said people in our community need to hear that people like you all do recover. And would you be willing to come on TV and talk about it? And my first response was, oh, no, 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 because I had to realize that God prepares us for what he wants us to do in this journey. And so being delivered from drugs and alcohol and the lifestyle 27 plus years ago, unknowingly to me, I am a leader in the community. And so my shirt, my dress basically says what it is. I don't look like what I've been through. And as a result of Twin Brown and the efforts of LAPA to continue this, and hopefully it will continue for my children, my grandchildren, their grandchildren, because it's needed. And without this forum, we will be lost. And I am one who attended a Black historical college at the age of 43.
Awesome.
After, going through my addiction, God saw fit to send me to Lincoln University, where I got my master's in human services, specializing in employee assistance program and helping to assist the city of Wilmington maintain their workforce of those who suffer from alcoholism, drug addiction. So being here amongst the leaders, I'm blessed, and I'm working more, so you'll be hearing about more what I'm doing.
Awesome.
All right, now I have to follow you three. So, again, my name is Ebony Madre, and my platform is a little different. My background entails a lot of child and family therapy, so I'm passionate about family dynamics and like just keeping the family unit intact. I'm currently working as a drug and alcohol therapist, and so my show is my group room. And every day I say to my group and the other therapists on our floor, like, I wish I had a camera in here. And so I'm passionate about the drug and alcohol field because we had a lot of addiction in our family. And when I think of addiction, it's not just drugs and alcohol. You know, like, you can be addicted to anything.
Sure.
And so I always let folks know that it's important not to pass judgment and, you know, to really get to the root cause of what prompted a person to even begin using in the first place. And so I just take advantage of the opportunity to learn from the clients that I work with and to give them knowledge that I have gained over the years.
I think this is great. And like you said, God knew about this prior to.
Prior to.
And it's interesting that it all, like I said, it's all in light of education and giving knowledge and people's perception, the way in which we see. Because, right, I mean, in college I experienced getting high and loved it. You know, but I mean, you grow through it, and then you grow older, and then, you know, you change, like learning biological change in behavior. And if we don't see a change in our behavior, we really haven't learned. And because of you all's platform, because of what you do, you're giving knowledge to that person that may really need that help, you know. And that's what that's what LAP is all about, giving information. You know, what I would like to see, or if this was happening, you could probably get, you know, if I'm not going to go into how much it costs to be on TV, but I do know that if the price was lower, you would get so many more people and you get so many more shows, which pay more than what it costs now. So, like, I'm talking about, like, sometimes it does get expensive. I'm not going to lie about that. And sometimes we look for sponsors, and I get it. But when you don't get those sponsors, if you get numbers, it's still going to be high, you know. And everybody has a different platform. It's so much talent.
Right, but see what,
In Delaware,
what
and yeah.
people don't understand is that it's not just coming on paying what you have to pay
Sure.
Right.
and coming on the air. It's more to that. We have a board.
Yep.
We have bills to pay. We have staff to pay. So I hear people sit here sometime and kind of criticize, and well, they should do this and LAPA should do that, but they have to understand it's more than what you think it is. You have to be in that organizational part to know what it takes, you know. So it's more than, and I understand people, you know, but you have to understand that the money flow is not just going
That's
to,
right.
there's other things that is happening out of that money that has to be taken care in order for this studio to continue
To
to
operate.
run.
That's right.
And then you have to look at the board. You have members, I'm one of them, been here for years and years. We don't get paid. I mean, it's our times and efforts because we want to see this be successful, be for the community, and do what we do. So, you know, people have to realize that.
And you know- and you know-
I'm glad you brought that
Yeah,
up.
but that's
Yeah.
education. You see what I mean?
Right.
So we dive in, we put questions out there, put information out there to evoke.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
to give it up, to give
right,
the truth.
The one thing that people have to understand is, and we do it to ourselves.
Sure.
We see a product, and the first thing we do is look at every negative aspect of the product, instead of looking at what's good at the product. And then, if you see something that's not working, do we offer help?
Right.
Do we offer our expertise? You know, we're so busy to run away from something and talk about it, not understanding this may be the only vehicle that this community has to get out information. So
That's
if
right.
we're not here, who's going to do it for us?
And we need it. You're
And
right.
I'm glad
You're
you
right.
mentioned that as well, because one of the things that we as a community, we take things for granted. And we have taken this community channel for granted
Oh, yeah.
over the years. So someone posed a question a couple years ago, maybe a few years ago. What if you turn on channel 28 and it was just nothing?
Wow.
Nothing. The seniors wouldn't get fed.
Right.
The community wouldn't get fed. The organizations wouldn't know what was going on. And so, and we asked the question. We said, what if you turned 28 on and you didn't see nothing but a black screen? All those years that you've been getting inspiration, motivation, support, education, and you want to criticize, we done got complacent. We done got comfortable as a community. We have taken things for granted. And the only time that change takes effect is when it falls into your lap. You know, and maybe that's maybe that's by nature, and that's okay. Okay, but at the same time, there by the grace of God, there go I. So who would have thought that, there's a hierarchy, there's an infrastructure that needs to be in place in order for this to be brought to the community.
And I appreciate that too, because now people can see. They don't know.
Right.
I put it out there, I kind of know, but I put it out there to get a response, because
Right.
when you do that, it then opens my eyes to some things. It's not cheap. But I'm gonna stay on this channel by any means necessary.
Right.
I'm coming out of my pocket. I have a 501c3. I'm not getting the funding, but that's okay, because it's still needed. And if we stay here, if we persevere, it's going to come anyway.
And you know what? And you said it's needed, and you're coming out of your pocket. What is the market rate in any other city, or does any other city even have this?
I don't even know if any other city does.
We're the only one.
Only
We're
one
only
in the-
live in the country
Right.
that has a live. So we have something really to be proud of. I mean, that we can talk about.
Sure.
That's here, for our community. And I'm like you, Edwina. If I woke up and I didn't see Channel 28, I don't know what I'd do, because on Sunday morning, I watch it through the week too, but Sunday, that's the first thing I do. Here, where's the remote? Let me see what's going on. And to be a part
too.
of the organizational part of it,
Sure.
and when something goes wrong, and I kind of always want to look to make sure, because if I see a black screen, I'm like, oh, what's going on down that studio? Because I'm upset, because it shouldn't be like that. And I know the producer, whoever is having that show, is upset. So quite naturally, they know me. I'll get on the phone quick. What's going on down there? So we're concerned. And people have to understand. We're as a board and LAPA, we're concerned to make sure that everything.
Right. They don't even
is
know
successful
the
now.
fight that you guys had to even
Yeah.
keep this station open. The fight for new equipment.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
a lot of things that went on that a lot of people were trying to shut this station down. But you have to understand it, because, like you said, education and knowledge. It says in the Bible, lack of knowledge or without vision, people will perish. So we have to be able to see things coming.
One of the things that I also want to, say, this has been a platform over the years for a lot of people to go other places.
Yes.
And so because of the training and the education that has gone on here on Channel 28 through the various networks, through the hosting, through the camera, through the technology, through the lighting, through the producing, through the hosting.
Sure.
I'm going to tell you, it's a platform, because like Georgie said, one day when I moved here from Williamsport, coming out of treatment, I was laying in my bed one Sunday morning just flicking a channel, and I saw Channel 28, and I said, I wonder what it's like to be on TV.
Yeah.
And it was like, I wonder what it's like to be on TV, right? And I had no idea that God had ordered my steps. And I'm going to tell you, it doesn't take a lot of experience. It just takes the willingness. And sometimes you have to pray for willingness.
That's right.
Because when you come here and be around educators and leaders like yourself, we can help our community who don't believe that it's possible, that their dreams cannot be achieved, that their vision cannot be actualized or realized. And that's a lie. But see, other networks, you have to pay, you have to go
You
through
have
the
to-
red
yes.
tape. But this is basically, when you think about the cost, it's really free.
Yeah.
It's not a
It's
lot.
really free. Doesn't
Yeah.
cost you a whole lot of money.
Yeah,
Do you
that's
think?
true.
So I was waiting to jump in.
You gotta get in there.
So, no, I was just thinking, as you guys were all talking, that we live in a time where people are just so used to being entertained, and so education has been kind of removed from a particular generation. And so if it's not entertaining, then people aren't engaging. And so with always being connected to like social media and things of that nature, there isn't a whole lot of TV watching. If it's not a reality TV show, then they're not participating in,
Right.
Now, whose fault is
Watch it.
that? Is it our fault?
I don't think it's your fault. I think that
I'm asking, not like whose fault is it that
I think
this
that
generation is not being receptive to traditional education and more so entertainment education?
I think because we've been given a pass, and so growing up, I can speak for myself and a lot of people that are in my circle. It was my parents were too hard on me, so when I get older, I'm going to be a little more lax. And so then you kind of, not that we don't work hard or we don't have a good work ethic, but we have kind of deviated away from some of the things that were instilled in your generation. And so because of that, you know, we're more lax than you guys, and we don't realize a lot of times the importance and the significance of shows such as this to educate the community, to educate one another. But now that we're all getting older, you know, like we're pushing our 40s and up, and now things are real. It's no longer a joke for our generation, and we have to realize that now we have to step into the roles that you all have stepped into. So.
And one of the things I can truly say is that because of the shows, the different shows that we have, it's an outreach to the community.
Right.
One of the things that we will not do is work together, you know, to
Yes.
grow our city. We're 72% black in this city.
Right.
And we work in silos. I know during the civil rights movement, and they had the bus boycott, there was a sacrifice. People stopped riding the bus. And because of that sacrifice, they came together and they grew, you know, as far as a community. Today's sacrifice, I'll be honest with you, I really believe that we have to sacrifice our agendas. Because we, as African American, we have too many agendas.
Thank you.
Everyone has
Thank
their
you for
own
saying it.
agenda, and that's why we can't come together.
But you
We
know what
beat
that
each other
is?
down because of our differences. We will not grow because of our differences. And we have more things in common and more things similar than we do different. So once we begin to focus on our similarities, I believe we could then grow. And these television shows are similar. And we may have different, we may think differently about things, but it's still similar. We come to the same agreement about what it's all about. And that's one agenda. It's not different agendas. Do you know what I mean?
And
On the whole.
see, you would have to almost look at the connectivity
Yes.
that needs to be actualized and realized, that we are all connected in some way, shape,
Yes.
form, or fashion. It's like you have this body. You have the head, inside the head there's the brain and the ears. And,
That's right.
You know,
Yeah.
everything is connected.
That's right.
And I think people have, there's too much separatism, you
Yes.
know, going on, and there's no connectivity. And so how do we, as individuals first, you know, how do we look at our connectivity? Who are we connected to? Because we cannot give away what we don't have.
That's right.
And so if we learn to look at ourselves and how we connected, and then I connect with you and all, and then you connect with somebody else, it has a ripple effect.
Sure.
But the connectivity that this program has to offer through spirituality, through information, through resources, through available support services, we are all connected.
Exactly.
You know where it
And
came from?
Go ahead.
And we always go back and we talk about when DSEG hit and all that. And people don't want to believe it, but that really impacted our communities a lot.
Yeah,
because back,
desegregation.
you know, before DSEG, we were taught we. Everything was always we. It was never me or you. It was always we. We were collectively doing stuff together. And then when they showed us a different look at life, we all became, I can get that for me, and not I can get this and make our community better. And we all started moving away. We started moving other places, and we only thought about ourselves.
But you know what? There's no excuse. And the reason I say that is that we can bond and we can connect. It's just like you, and as I said when you
Yeah.
came in, I said, oh yeah, the Route 9. If we
Yeah.
say we're going to
Sure.
be here,
We show up.
we're going to be here, we show up. So what we have done in that 16th district, we have bonded together. I can depend on Ron. Ron can depend on me. Ron, Jakim
yeah.
can depend on Ron. Jakim can depend on me. So we built a bonding, and
Yes.
it can be done.
Can
There's
be.
no such thing, but you have to have people willing to want to bond, to want to do the right thing. And once people begin to see,
That
wow,
examples.
that group of people,
Exactly.
they begin to want to follow them. So if I see this person here and they like, they trying to, you know what I'm saying? They want this and their egos and whatever. But if I see this group here and they doing something and I see that connection and that strong bond, even on my show, when I bring the young people on, they like, they love to come, you know, because they know the bonding and the connecting that I have and they can have with me. So it can be done. Some people just are not going to do it. But if you get the correct bunch of people together, you can't break this bond with us. I'm
Right.
talking out there. No, it's
Yeah.
not. You can't come and say nothing about Ron. You can't come and say nothing about Josie.
It ain't gonna happen.
And you're not going to say it's not going to happen because we have built that, you know, bond and trust, you know, with one another. So it can happen, but you have to get people to want to do it. And
I like the idea of about the we, because Ebony and I work in similar fields, and I know that in the world of addiction and in the recovery, I cannot survive without my group. My group can survive without me, but I can't survive without my group. Even 27 years later, I still go to a meeting every day. It's like taking my blood pressure pill every day. You know, it's like praying every day. I go and get what I need because I stay connected to the we and not the I. And then what also happens is her son is my grandson. He was at my meeting this morning, and he's 4 years old. So whenever they come over to grandma's house, my grandchildren go to my meetings, okay?
Really
And
is.
so
Right.
they get to hear and they get to see adults, you know, talk, cry, you know, laugh and all, and then at the end see us in a circle saying the Lord's Prayer,
Amen.
okay? And so even with my addiction, my children were impacted, and my children could have went their own separate ways. But my son's a doctor now of 6 years, and he works with boys who were teased like he was. You know, your mom's a skeezer, she's a drug addict, but he works with those boys and he has a connection with them. They bond with them. You know what I mean? They listen to him because he's reaching out to them. And my daughter, you know, she has her own construction company since she was 19 years old. And she works with girls who were used for sex trafficking because I almost sold my daughter for drugs, okay? And so it's that when we have gone through something, how do we forget about ourselves and give to others? And so we have to embrace our youth, even if it starts in family. And sometimes that family is not readily available or receptive, and God gives you extended family. So if you can't start with your own, start with somebody else. You know?
You know,
it has a lot to do with transparency too.
That's
so
right.
I think that's what people connect to most. Because if you're looking at me and you feel that I've never been through anything, instead of asking me, you know, so a lot of times I offer that information. And once I let them into my space and I am transparent with them, then those walls go down and then the discussion begins to happen.
You know, speaking of your son, you know, he was one of my students at Skyline.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, it was years ago.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, Doc, yeah.
So you were one of his role models, his
at
mentors.
Skyline? Oh yeah, Doc. Yeah.
Yeah.
We go way back. Yeah. So,
But
so,
you know what though?
What's
That she just
Yeah, them is
discovering
Skyline.
that. But what's really great is what we don't realize as we don't see that we're leaders. Our daily actions, somebody's always watching us, and we don't know the impact that we have on other people's lives.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
till later on, when
Right,
people
kid,
walk
yep.
up to you, you be like, "What?"
I ain't all like this. Yeah, and that's what it's all about. You know, the connections.
Right.
You know, that we're doing. You know, because of this, you know, we and I say we, my wife, myself, my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, we opened up a restaurant, a Stone Oven Pizza. If you could bring that up, please bring
What
that.
is it called?
Stone Oven Pizza.
Is it open now?
Yes, it is.
Union Street.
'Cause I didn't
Yes,
know
it
that.
is. Oh, please go by after the show.
Okay.
Yes. And we had a grand opening last week, but we opened 2 weeks ago. And we're doing a lot of things. In fact, we're working on Norman Connor's coming. So if you're not doing anything not Valentine's, that's too far down the line. New Year's Eve, we're going to bring in Norman Connors. to serenade you, play the percussion, and do
I
what he
used to
does.
work with him.
$50 a ticket, come and eat, get a cocktail, and do what you do.
Oh.
You know, for those that do drink. But a nice restaurant, 729 North Union Street, called Stone Oven Pizza. Not to mention, we have food for your soul. We don't want to call it soul food, but we have food for your soul along with Stone Oven Pizza.
Let them know who cooks there.
Oh, Tone Wash.
You gotta put that out there.
It's my brother-in-law, Fred Rogers, Linda Rogers, my wife,
Yeah.
Connie, and myself. And we're doing it. We're right there by the flats. We're right there on Union Street. So black-owned restaurant. Come on. You know, and it's going to grow. And we're going to do a lot of meetings. So if you want to bring your community group out and eat and meet, let's do it, you know, because it's for us. This is ours. Not mine, ours.
And we
You
gotta-
know,
and we have to promote
it's,
that.
it's for our community, for sure. So, and the food is delicious.
Oh, well, I'm a definitely
Oh, the
go
food's
right-
delicious.
right after this.
Oh, it is.
All right.
Because I don't cook.
That's
I
okay.
don't
Come
cook.
on, we'll cook for you. Steve Cole's one of the cooks as well.
Yeah, I know.
But it's family, you know, and because of this family, what we're putting out there in the community right now, this is what it's all about. We're going to grow our community by any means necessary. We're going to work together by any means necessary. We're going to love one another by any means necessary.
Right.
You know, because if I don't like you, I still have to love you, because we have this thing called, right now it's called, we can have two kind of biases now, by the way. One is called implicit bias, and then we have the other one called implicit racial bias. You know, so we have implicit bias we have a bias about, you know, about how I feel about you, and I don't even know you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He ran for mayor. Who you think you are? Don't know anything about me.
Right.
But
Right.
you know, but it was an implicit bias. Until you get to know people. And that's what we have got to do, is to really begin to know each other, love each other. You know, I was born in the 60s. And there was love. In fact, during the 60s,
You was
I
born
didn't-
in the 60s?
I was born in the
I
60s.
was born in the 50s.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
See,
Now,
I
don't
knew-
look at me.
Listen, see, in 1968, when Martin Luther King, when he was assassinated, when Bobby Kennedy was assassinated, you know, they sent their caskets through the states.
Yeah.
You remember that time? So I remember when Martin Luther King was assassinated, and they had the National Guard
Guards,
by Mary C.I. Williams Elementary School.
I had 'em on
I never heard about anybody being murdered other than Sheila Farrell.
Yeah.
And
That
that's
was
because of the, what was it, the peach tree?
The peach.
Yeah, peach tree.
Unbelievable. Now the kids are going crazy. It's up to us. It really is up to us to show love amongst each other, so these kids.
Oh man, I'm so glad you made that statement.
Me
So they
too,
can
so
see
you
it.
hurry up and
No,
do
no,
it. Okay.
no. I know. I'm glad you made that statement because my frustration is when things are going on in this city.
Sure.
Everybody points their fingers at the mayor and the chief of police. It's not their job. It's our job to police our own communities.
That's
it's
right.
our job to take care of our communities because there are certain. I'll tell people there are certain area codes they don't have any issues, and the key reason why is because they don't allow it.
See.
We allow these things to go on. If we say no and mean it and stay together, it goes somewhere else.
And one of the things that I love what you said about the family. We are family.
Yes.
We are, the human race is the family.
That's right.
You know, and the spirituality that connects all of us needs to, you know, be embraced and also talked about too. And one of the things that really resonated when you was talking about, see how we were laughing up here? You know, we was kicking and laughing. How much laughter do we do with our children?
Yeah.
With our youth? You know, everything is so serious, so
Yeah.
gung-ho. You know, like the children are looking for transparency. Mom, do you cry? Do you laugh? Do you, you know, do you get that? Do you relax? It's always da-da-da. So we as adults, you know, need to show more vulnerability, show our weaknesses, show that, you know, we can lack some of the strength that you see in us, and we can communicate about it. And then lastly, I want to share about how in the prisons, you know, we just had a forum, People Settlement did. How do we help 7-year-old Sammy? Sammy is 7 years old. He has substance abuse and mental illness. His mother has mental illness. His father's in the prison. And how do we connect to help save Sammy from getting worse and also going into the prison? And so we had my pastor, Dr. Reverend Christopher Allen Bullock, and we had DOC director there, and we even had Ashley Biden there, and some people from the school to talk about how can we impact our youth now. the generation that's going on it is what it is, and we still got to make change. But how can we affect the 4-year-old, your 4-year-old, the 3-year-old, the 5 years old? How can we begin to impact their lives?
Phonemic awareness.
If you can walk your dog, how many kids are you walking?
Hey, hey,
But
I
you know,
see a whole lot of people walking their dogs, but I don't see nobody walking with their kids.
that's right.
listen,
We got to teach
but
them.
you know, Edwina, I'm gonna tell you, I'm a passionate person about the prison. Now I
we
know
know that.
people do wrong.
Right.
People pay, they do their time, and they shouldn't be treated like animals. Now I'll stand up for them. You know, they wrong. They did what they did. You know, we all do things that we shouldn't do. But I don't feel like they should be treated like animals. And I had a question to you when you was in there when we was talking about the opiate addiction. Now we out here, we're treating people in the streets out here,
Right.
but they have the same issues and problems in the prison. What are we going to do about them in the prison? Because they're going to come out here too. What are we going to do, or how are we going to come together to say, no, they need help too? You know, and I think back to last week, and everybody, there is power in people.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
When Alabama, last week,
See,
Yes.
they
showed
got
'em.
together and showed up and showed out.
Yeah, they showed it.
Let me tell you, what you can do or can do with power, with people, let me tell you, that prison system can be turned around too.
it can.
And
It can.
we sit back, you know, don't say nothing, but I think if we put the power together, because they need help,
Oh, you do.
you know, and that was my question to you.
Yeah.
What are we going to do about them?
One of the things
know.
that came up during that forum, Dr. Bullock talked about and addressed it to the director of behavioral health, who's in charge of treatment there, that because of this whole thing with what happened with the prison guard and all that, that the system decided not to allow the pastors or ministers to go back
Right.
into the prisons anymore. You know, and so there was some upheaval about that because Dr. Bullock and others, you know, were very, you know, outspoken and demanded that this should be the starting point. We have to connect with them spiritually.
We
You
do.
know what I mean? Because it's a spiritual sickness.
That's right.
You know, it's a spiritual sickness. And so if you have these leaders who have the information to touch that spirit, then you can do with the mental and the physical and the emotional. But again, if the system is not designed
Right.
to really help you but to punish you,
That's right.
then you're going to get what you get. And so somehow or another, we talked about how we could, even with 7-year-old Sammy, have some, and I asked her, what type of computer technology, face talk or whatever, Mike, y'all have for 7-year-old Sammy to talk to his father or mother in prison.
Wow.
To build that relationship.
Right.
You know, again, if the system is not going to do it, but we have to hold the system accountable if we are paying our tax dollars.
Yeah.
Right, but let me say this. So since you're on the system, and you know, I don't owe nobody nothing. Nobody owes me nothing. And this was called out tonight.
Call it
Well,
out.
I'm calling it out. Now, if you don't like it, I'm calling it out.
Call it out.
Because I'm calling it out because it's the truth.
Right.
When Mrs. Plant was living, Hazel Plant was living, and Dr. Bullock, Mrs. Plant said to me she would like to go to the prison. We went to the prison. She asked me would I go with her along with Dr. Bullock. We went to that prison. It was just us three. We went to the SHU. We went through the whole prison. Talked. Reverend Bullock prayed with the prisoners, and we talked and everything. It was said, and you talk about the system, that the legislators don't even go in the
Right.
prison. Haven't even been through the prison. Now, how can you sit, you down there in Dover making laws, and you don't even know what the inside of the prison looks like? That's right? No, that's not right. But then that shows how much you care.
That's
Now,
right.
I don't care who don't like it out there. I said it because it was said there that the legislators don't even go in the prison and had none of been there.
Right.
But Hazel Plant.
I challenge, and since you said call it out, let's call it out. We have so many churches right here in Wilmington. I challenge you pastors to all come together as one. I challenge you all to all support August Quarterly as one. So we don't have to spend a whole lot of money.
Right.
It's free. Jesus came in on a donkey. You see? So I'm challenging pastors, because I love Jesus, I love God, I love church. I challenge that if we all the churches in Wilmington, come together for one big revival. And pastors get along on the same, page where we can just grow our community. We talk about leaders, but we have leaders in silos.
Right.
We need leaders together.
You know what?
And I'm not getting on the pastor. I'm just
No,
saying.
no. Because a lot of people, they think because if I join an organization, that makes me less of a person without understanding. The saying is, no one entity is greater than the sum of the whole.
That's right.
So, and if we had that mindset, we could understand if we all came together, we become more powerful.
I think it falls into the egos that you spoke about too.
Yeah.
Again, I was waiting to jump
Oh,
in.
you better jump in, because that's where I was going to go. Oh, that's
But
where I was
I
going to go.
think that it does. It has a lot to do
Sure.
with the egos, and I think it's important, like you said, for all pastors to come together. And I sit under Pastor Derek Johnson, and we all know that a lot of times he's like on the outs, like he's not really included in a lot of decisions that are being made. But I do
But
think
he's the
that.
first one they call.
But he
when-
is the
when
first one that they
yeah.
call when something goes wrong.
Wow.
I've witnessed him go into the prisons, and that's how I know Miss Josie from her interactions with Pastor D. But I will say that Delaware is just behind the mark. Treatment is cheaper than incarceration. And a lot of individuals are getting high inside the prisons, so they still have access to the drugs and different substances that they can abuse. But I think that if people come together and that push is made, I think that we can get on track with putting treatment in place as opposed to immediately forcing people into being labeled or identified as criminals because there's an underlying cause.
I'm glad you said
What-
that.
One of the things, but listen,
Yes, go ahead.
when we had that forum with all those 9 people there,
Sure.
the question was, why aren't we coming together? Why aren't we working together? And Dr. Bullock said, outright, it's the egos and the pride. That's what's going to keep men from ever coming together. And they say pride comes before the fall,
Oh, yeah.
right? And so I'm telling you, if people, individuals, are not willing to check their egos and pride at the door, it ain't gonna work.
Right.
It just ain't gonna work.
And
But
know
you
what,
have
I
to
think?
find those who are willing to put their egos
That's right.
and their pride out the door and come in for the sake of we and not I. Until some of us and enough of us do that, then we can affect change
And we want
even
the
more.
shooters
I have
to
one more
come
challenge,
together,
too.
right?
What she say?
We want the kids that are out here murdering individuals to
Sure.
come together and to
But we
be on the
can't do it
same
as
page.
leaders.
But
Yes.
as adults and leaders, right, we
If
can't
they don't
do
see
it.
us, we lead by example.
Exactly.
I have another challenge. City government. City council. You all are too strong as a unit to let the outside media and forces stop what you're doing. I challenge you all in the city council to come together as one. A lot of you give Sam Guy a hard time sometimes. I get it. Sam Guy can talk the way he wants, but Sam Guy's a sharp brother.
Right.
Sam Guy is telling it like it is. Sam Guy's running for state senate. We have to embrace some of the things. I'm not saying I'm supporting, I'm not saying I'm not supporting, but if this cat can go downstate and get his point across as eloquently as he does in council, you better think about it. It's not about what we say. It's about us working together and understanding egos and pride. Let it ride.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, my
guess
God.
what? Mr. News Journal is tearing us up.
That's right.
They're not looking at anything we do positive, but they're focusing on every negative barrier that we do and bringing it out in the forefront.
And you're right, because we're relying on them instead of we doing
To
our own
inform us.
research.
Wow.
Right.
We as individuals need to do our own research,
Yeah,
whether
due
it's
diligence.
Sam Guy, Dr. Bullock,
Whoever.
UFD, do your own research. You can hear what people say, and when you go to church and you hear what the message is, you need to go home and do your own studying, do your own research, base it on the facts, the truth, and then you got to go behind the truth that's really not the truth. So you have to keep digging till you come to the real truth.
Right,
But
right.
you know, one of the problems is with us, and just like you're talking about Sam Guy, people don't want to hear the truth.
No,
And those people that speak out,
they don't want to hear it.
they don't want nothing to do with you. They don't want you on their organization. You think they like her? Oh, her mouth's too big. Pastor D talks too much. But see, they the people that you need to listen. Not that we write, but people are truthful. I'm not going to sit here and go along to get along, and that's what we do. We go along to get along. I don't do that.
You know what
I
some
ain't
people
gonna
do?
let
And
it
it's
get
the
along.
same in recovery. Like you call people out on their BS, you know?
Yeah.
And that's where their growth comes from. Because if I pacify you or I just turn a blind eye to what I see is clearly wrong, then you're never going to grow. You're never going to stand in your own truth. And if you can stand in your own mess, then people can't use it against you.
And I'm going to tell you how, because I'm a recovering person. Now, I need to shut my eyes and hear all that you say, because I need to separate the message from the messenger. Because unless we close our eyes, that the truth will not penetrate, because we're so focused on the physical, we're so focused on the ego and the pride that we're not spiritually listening, so that can have that spiritual effect. So when we learn to just listen to the truth with our eyes closed,
right.
we don't know who's delivering it, but we know it's the truth.
You know,
There you
and as I spoke with Sam Guy, the same with you, Hanifa Shabazz, President. We have to support you too. We want you to just come together, understand everything. You know, we can't take sides, not in our community. We all got to be on the same page in order for us to grow. What is right is right, what is wrong is wrong. Okay? When you sleep and hide your head, your feet is show. And on the other side, when you sleep and hide your feet, your head is show. So we have to begin to be transparent. Listen, I'm gonna tell you what's going on in Wilmington. We have a fixed mindset in a reactive city under a good old boy network. We have to change that fixed mindset to a growth mindset. Instead of being reactive, we need to be proactive. Instead of going under the good old boy network, we need to be transparent, because transparency is going to keep us. I may not like everything you say. It's okay. I may not even agree, but I have to support you. You know what? We don't like people, so we don't support them. Who does that? You know, so we have to support each other.
But that's part of critical thinking, and then we go back to education, something that we don't do, because with critical thinking, I need to hear you give me pushback. It does two things. It lets me know, well, maybe my point is really not valid, or it makes me reinforce what I'm saying. But it gives me another perspective, and I say, you know what? Maybe I didn't look at it that way. Let me go back to the lab, look at it some more, and then come back with a better argument.
That's it.
But see, a lot of us, at one time or another, we want to be the student and the teacher. You can't be both.
Yeah.
So
Playing double
either,
dutch.
you know, so when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
That's right.
Yeah.
But many of us want to, based on convenience. There's a time I want to be the teacher, but then there's a time I want to be the student.
Right.
Okay? But when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And what you say about that change, instead of it coming from the external, it has to come from internal.
That's right.
And it has to come internally from each
Well, guess what?
individual.
All
Right.
change starts inside. All change starts before anybody can see it.
Thank you, because we're looking for the outside to
Right.
change, and the change is within.
Yeah, you got to
That's
change
it.
the inside.
Oh, I love this show. We have to do, I'm telling you, this is just the onset of what's going to happen in 2018. We're going to have to bring the producers together, you know, because we all have a message, but we hear at different times. It should be a time where we can all come together and speak to the community. I'm talking about the Congo Hour, everybody, where we can talk, because everybody that's in front of this, in front of the camera, you have something to say, and you're not afraid to talk about it.
No, why?
And you shouldn't be
They
afraid
need
to
to
talk
hear
about
us
it.
collectively.
Oh, no.
You know-
If you are afraid to talk about it, then that means you haven't come to terms.
That's right.
There you go.
And
See, when he
secrets
delivered
breed.
me, when he delivered me, people said, "We know why you keep talking." Look, God didn't save me to keep my mouth shut.
That's right.
Oh no, He didn't. He saved me to help somebody else. So you got to be transparent. You got to tell them what it is. You got to tell the truth.
That's right.
It's your truth, his truth, and it's the truth.
Yep. Hey.
Well, they say, no, they say, Edwina, no test, no testimony.
Right.
Right.
Thank you, girl.
No test, no
And
testimony.
secrets breed sickness.
Yeah.
Wow. Say it again.
There you go.
TV world, did you hear that?
Secrets breed sickness.
See?
Yeah.
Explain that.
So just meaning that if you keep those secrets or you keep those dark parts of yourself, then you'll never heal, you know. And so it's important to get that stuff out, you know. And I think that in the Black community, when it comes to mental health, you know, everything has always been swept under the rug. So we have a lot of people hurting. And I believe that, you know, you get to a point where you let it hurt until it doesn't hurt anymore. And then you have no choice but to get it out. But as long as you keep those things inside, then you'll never
That you won't
heal
grow from it.
properly.
And
gotta
you know
grow.
who said something about that at that forum? We did a presentation with Dr. Alvin Turner. And he said, because he has history in working with African Americans and in the society and all that, and how the system does not work for us. But he said, just what you said, when people come in, he has to find a way to make that person comfortable enough to want to share his secrets with him. Until that happens, you have to build that relationship when that person wants to share, and then when he wants to share, then you need to show non-judgmental, non-criticism, because you want him to share his secrets, and then the ball can start rolling. Because the longer you stay sick, the longer it's going to take for you to get better.
Wow. And with that being said, Wilmington, thank you.
Okay.
Thank
I-
you.
Oh, you didn't? Hold on. You didn't know. See, that's what it is. See, we're engaged.
I was just
Listen,
getting started.
I really, this guy, I really appreciate you all for coming out tonight. And we're going to have to do this often, you know, always and often, and to share that passion. I thank you, Wilmington, for allowing us to be in your living room this evening. For those of you if you didn't tune in, check out the YouTube because it's going to be uploaded. This is a powerful show. I thank you. I appreciate you. I'm going to also tell you to come on out again. You have to come out to Stone Oven Pizza. The pizza's
What
awesome.
time they
And
close?
we're tonight, 11 o'clock. But, but listen, we close on Fridays and Saturdays at 1 a.m. Please come out. You're going to enjoy, you're going to love the atmosphere. I guarantee you will love
You got
the
karaoke
atmosphere.
night?
We can.
Okay.
We can have.
We can have a book signing at
Yes,
Oh,
we-
a book signing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, we're talking
We're
business.
coming.
So
Business.
listen, thank you for coming out. Thank you for all that you're doing in the lives of people. God bless you. Merry Christmas to you. See you next year. Peace.